You're listening to a full breakdown of today's top global stories, no fluff, no distractions. Just a straight shot of everything you need to know, from escalating trade wars and economic warnings to foreign policy shifts, healthcare gaps, and new education mandates. Let's get into it. Tensions are climbing fast between the world's two largest economies. President Donald Trump has issued a stark ultimatum to China, threatening to slap an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods unless Beijing backs off its retaliatory measures within 24 hours. If enforced, the move would raise total tariffs on Chinese imports to a staggering 104%, marking the most aggressive escalation yet in the ongoing trade war. The standoff began after China responded to Trump's recent 34% reciprocal tariff with retaliatory measures of its own. Trump's latest warning comes atop existing penalties, including a 20% tariff tied to China's involvement in the fentanyl trade and a floated 25% levy over its oil dealings with Venezuela. Altogether, the full weight of these tariffs could soon reach historic levels. Meanwhile, Wall Street is feeling the impact. Markets took a sharp turn today, rocked by the uncertainty surrounding global trade. Adding to the anxiety, the CEOs of JPMorgan Chase and BlackRock are sounding alarms about where the economy might be headed. Jamie Dimon of JPMorgan said the U.S. economy is facing considerable turbulence, citing stubborn inflation, high deficits, and geopolitical unrest. He warned that the tariffs could boost inflation and make a recession more likely. His message was blunt: the longer this goes on, the harder it will be to reverse the damage. BlackRock's Larry Fink echoed the concern. Speaking at an economic forum, he said many CEOs he speaks with already believe the U.S. is in a recession. He even raised the possibility of a further 20% drop in stocks. As the trade war plays out, another front is heating up, this time in the Middle East. Standing alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump addressed the rising tensions with Iran. He warned that if Iran doesn't reach a nuclear deal, it will be in danger. The U.S. is now planning to hold direct talks with Tehran, a dramatic shift from previous policy. In recent days, the U.S. has been bolstering its military presence in the region, sending advanced air defenses to Israel. Speculation is mounting that the U.S. and Israel are preparing for a possible joint strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. Over the weekend, Iran placed its military on high alert, with the top general saying the country is ready for any scenario, including war. Back at home, Trump and Netanyahu also discussed trade, following the U.S. decision to impose a 17% tariff on Israeli goods. Trump criticized Israel's 33% tariff on U.S. exports and said America gives a lot to its allies, $4 billion a year to Israel alone, while calling out what he described as lopsided deals with countries like Afghanistan. In Europe, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is pushing for de-escalation. She has offered to eliminate tariffs on all industrial goods between the U.S. and Europe. The proposal is a direct response to Trump's newly imposed 20% blanket tariff on EU imports, with some sectors like cars and steel now facing a 25% rate. Pharmaceuticals and semiconductors, however, remain exempt. Von der Leyen warned that if talks break down, Europe is prepared to hit back with countermeasures and a new import surveillance task force to track redirected goods. She called the situation a major turning point that could carry huge costs for global trade. In another dramatic shift abroad, Germany has announced its first permanent foreign military deployment since World War II. A 5,000-troop armored brigade is now stationed in Lithuania, just miles from the Russian border. The unit is part of NATO's broader strategy to reinforce its eastern defenses, and German officials say their mission is clear: protect Lithuania, a critical ally, from rising threats. In Asia, China just launched a bold new education initiative. Starting this fall, AI education will be mandatory for every student beginning at age 6. The new policy requires at least 8 hours of AI instruction per year and aims to prepare the next generation for a world dominated by artificial intelligence. Turning to healthcare, a new Gallup and West Health report reveals that 11% of U.S. adults, about 29 million people, were recently unable to access or afford quality care. The surge is especially sharp among Hispanic and Black Americans, and among households earning less than $24,000 a year. Overall, just 50% of Americans are now considered cost-secure, meaning they can afford the care they need. The report also found that 12% of adults borrowed money for medical expenses last year, totaling $74 billion in borrowed funds. That data lands just as congressional Republicans weigh Medicaid cuts to help fund proposed tax reductions. Medicaid currently covers 1 in 5 Americans. At the Department of Agriculture, the Trump administration has quietly approved a 25% increase in logging on national forests. The emergency directive bypasses certain environmental safeguards and speeds up timber projects. Officials say the move will reduce wildfire risks and improve forest health. Critics, however, argue it's a gift to the timber industry and could lead to exploitation of old-growth forests. Environmentalists are alarmed by the removal of protections, warning that the changes will allow sawmills to harvest valuable full-grown trees without adequate oversight. In Washington, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is making waves with a controversial new move, ordering the CDC to halt its recommendations on fluoride in drinking water. A new federal task force will now assess the risks, while the EPA reviews updated science on fluoride safety. Utah recently became the first state to ban fluoride in public water supplies. In immigration news, the U.S. Supreme Court has greenlit Trump's plan to deport Venezuelan gang members under the Rarely Used Alien Enemies Act. In a narrow 5-4 ruling, the court allowed fast-track deportations of members of the Tren de Aragua gang, which the State Department has labeled a terrorist group. While detainees can still file individual habeas petitions, the ruling blocks broader legal challenges in federal court. And finally, the White House is reopening the door on a major corporate merger. Trump has ordered a fresh review of Nippon Steel's proposed acquisition of U.S. Steel, a deal previously blocked by President Biden. Investors cheered the move, sending U.S. Steel's stock up 12% amid hopes that the new administration might approve the deal if national security concerns are addressed. Whether it's trade, tariffs, war, healthcare, or corporate mergers, the pressure points are everywhere. And with so many moving pieces, the weeks ahead promise to be anything but quiet. That's all for tonight's news update. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue to monitor these stories and bring you the latest developments. Stay safe, stay informed, and have a good night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.